Are we
Right
live?
then,
There.
and we're live.
Hello,
So,
good evening.
whoever on the mix that bothers, we're live.
We are live and we're
We're-
here from Nottingham and from Telford and from Low Hill in a dark Wolverhampton. Of course it's dark.
We're
It's
alive, which is more than Wolves were in the first half.
Yes. But obviously, again, it could be said. I'm so tempted to set up a petition for Wolves to be banned from playing in the first half of a football game.
No, I think you got the wrong way around. I think the approach should be, and I've thought about this a lot. Just hear me out on this. 90 minutes of football. Let's be honest. Let's be perfectly honest. We don't get 90 minutes of play. What we probably get is 80 minutes of play at best. So what we need to do is actually go for the kind of rugby, basketball approach where the clock stops when the ball's dead. So we'll drop it to 80 minutes, but we'll play 80 actually minutes. And then you have, it's a timekeeper thing. It's the ball's out, clock stops. Then we have 4 quarters. That will confuse our team into not working out. Are we in the first half or not?
Well,
So
it's 22.
hopefully we
It's
can
20.
snap out of it.
It's 22 and a half minutes per. It'll be 22 and a half minutes per quarter. So
No, 20. You go for 80.
Oh, yeah.
80 divided by 4 is 20. Yeah, it's simple math.
The other option that you could do is basically, if you can't, as a coaching team, work out why this keeps happening, is you lock the doors to the changing rooms at half time. So they don't have a half. It's just one long half. They don't actually have a half time now.
No, I think that'd be counterproductive. I think in training, what you have to do is, the training videos, let's be perfectly honest, are PR. I mean, you'd think, my God, if that's training, I could be a professional footballer. Let's be perfectly honest. So let's get that out of the way. But really what you want to do is, it's a bit like boxing or any performance, not like 100 meters where you're focused on 10 meters. It's about, I need to perform over 90 minutes. So you kind of feel, are they saving themselves for the 90-minute stretch? But there's an argument to say, get a 30-kilo rucksack on their back, send them down to the Marines and say, work these effers over the next week when we've got 2 weeks after that. And let's see what they've got. And then play football, then put another 30-kilogram weight on and go and do it again. And then play football. They can do it. They're professional athletes. They've definitely got the capability. I think it's a mental thing, to be honest. I really.
It is, because there's some players who run about the whole game.
Yeah.
As we saw with Pedro running that 80 yards, and obviously if that had gone in, that would have been an absolute perler.
We had a new one today, though, Cash, didn't we? After that, we had he could have been a professional roller hockey player. Now that's a great one. I have to give credit to the commentator for that, because that wasn't, as I was going to say earlier, like Nietzsche's repetitive theory of internal recurrence. So what this is why wolves are stuck in some kind of hell where you are destined to repeat the same thing repeatedly, knowing full well that you're aware of it, but without any capability or ability or desire to change it. So every single game, we play half a game and then half a game. The first half, we're just dire. I mean, we can't even pass the ball. Even when we look at a player, we pass the ball over there. Second half, we're demonstrably better. And I don't know what chicken Nuno needs to sacrifice. I don't know what runes we need to actually cast. I don't know which doctor we need to bring in and apologize to. I don't know which deity we've offended. But we have to break this cycle. Something has, and I'm going to go all stranglers on you, something has to change. It's not, we can't just play for 5 minutes. We can't just hang around for the first half and do nothing. We've got to go out and we've got to be relentless and actually try and win games for 90 minutes. It's and everything should be geared towards that.
I mean, at the end of the game, when we had that throw-in, and there's literally seconds left on the clock. I mean, and this is what annoyed me, and I don't. I like Johnny. Johnny's one of my favourite players, but he was just like standing there with the ball, and I'm like, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball.
But it's like players. There's a huge gap where you thought, why don't you run into that gap, Neves, and why don't you run over there, Troy? I mean, again, if that's being a professional footballer, standing still on a football pitch, I can do that. I'd be very good at that. The running about bit I might have a problem with, and kicking a ball, but the standing still, not doing absolutely anything, I can do that. So as I can do that part of the game, can I have 1% of your salary, please? Because I can do 1% of do. So I was thinking about this before we came on. I honestly, I wouldn't knock any player today, to be fair. It's not a player thing.
I've got a list. Don't worry. I'll do that for you.
You can go on. My view is it's not about
I've got a few
players. It's more about the mentality of the team. You've got to view it as a kind of hive mentality that from the moment you step on that pitch, you have one objective, and that's to win the game. The objective is not to contain the game, it's to win the game. And the mentality seems to be wrong from day one, from minute one.
Yeah. Because local derby, some will say form goes out the window and whatever else goes out the window. But as we saw, I think we're lucky. We're lucky to escape. Lucky to escape with a point now, seeing the first half, and Villa. I'm surprised Villa didn't break their own post. Quite frankly, it was those two shots were ferocious. Two brilliant, very unlucky. And obviously then Concert towards the end, smacking it just wide. But as you say, for us, we did have those chances, obviously. Only Roman will know how Roman stuck that over the bar in one of the misses of the century. Although it does happen to the best of us. It does happen to the best. Yeah. It does happen to the best of us, trying to be a bit witty. Of course, though, it was a massive chance in the context of the game. And then Codes, I think if Codes had got a little bit more power, it might have just gone through the hands of Martinez. But what a keeper Villa have, I have to say. He's improved during the season, and credit where credit is due for the pick up. But again, it's another clean sheet. It's another point. In what was a very, very tricky game. It's still only now one defeat in 7, which was our last one, the game before this. So again, compared to where we were not long ago, we're making steps forward. And it would have been nice if that one had gone in and Cody scoring 2 games in a row would have been. I wonder what the odds would have been on that. Quite frankly,
absolutely. I'm just going to in that little break there. I'm just going to welcome in Max, who's joined us. Hello, Max. Can you hear us? Obviously not. Sorry, carry on. Max, I'm sure will join us at some point. He's here. I can see him on my screen.
Yeah, Max's name is up on my screen.
Yes, he's not muted. Anyway, hopefully Max will be able to. He might be talking right now, and we're all like talking away, and for some reason his audio is not working. But Max, your audio is not working. Sorry.
If you can get it sorted.
Sorry, Cash.
Yeah, Max, if you can get it sorted, you're welcome along. But yeah, it's let's say for 0-0, it was quite an entertaining one, knowing that there was 6 or 7 big chances that both sides had collectively. So it's a very interesting game. Just of course, though, how can we play better in the first half of a football match? If we can do what we do in second halves much more often across an entire 90, we will at some point win comfortably, and everyone will enjoy it. We haven't had a comfortable win in a football game for however long now, and I'm sure that is a big concern. Dundonk in the first half was shocking. He was lucky as well, I think, to get away with a few.
I think you've been generous. I think you've been generous with the first half. I think the whole game and the game before.
Yeah, he's lucky to still have his place, quite frankly. I think once Willie is fully fit, then Leander is either going to hop to the bench or hop into midfield.
The thing is, when it was a couple of times where he was playing more as the defensive. He seemed to be just stepping out and being more the defensive midfielder. He is better there. I don't see him as a centre half at all.
He wasn't.
I think
he wasn't.
Stace can play defensive midfield and as a centre half. Yeah, Stace. I think it's.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes. I mean, Stace was having to come over and cover for him. Now, Stace is the left-sided centre half. He's coming past Cody to have to do Dendonka's job. If that's the case, you may as well play 4 at the back. You just may as well just push Dendonka forwards then, because there's no point in being there. He's so out of position some of the times, and I've said, and I must have said it so many times about Dendonka. He's got ability, but he seems to just lack concentration for me. He just switches off so many times. I mean, I keep reading about, Traore's lazy, he's not tracking. Dendonka doesn't track his men back, and he's the defender.
Yep.
I've got a bit of sympathy for Traore. He's up front. Why are you expecting him to run all the way back into defence? Dendonka loses the ball in midfield and just trots behind the man. That's unforgivable for me for a centre half.
Absolutely.
You cannot do that. That's just poor.
Yeah, agree.
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is.
A defender's job, first and foremost, is to defend.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like when he's had those chances earlier in the season and stuff like that, and he had a chance tonight, I thought. And he misses the ball or he mishits it. That just, to me, that says that's not concentrating. That's all that says. I mean, I'll be criticised for saying such a thing because it's like, well, he's a professional footballer, but that's how it comes across. It just annoys the hell out of me. And the other one, if someone is watching this from Wolves and can arrange this, can we have an interview with the coaching staff or whoever comes up with this plan to just not have possession and not attack and not really do anything for a half, be it first or second half? And just sit down and explain to me. Just explain it to me. Because I don't get it, and I'm not a football person, so I would really, really much like to have a little interview on here one day where we can have someone come and explain this tactic. Because it's not only me who thinks like this; many people think like this, and I'm sure it would help all of us understand the thinking behind and the mentality behind doing that. Because
if we can't, question here.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a second. I'll be back in a second. Just need to sort something out. Give me a second.
Yeah.
There's a bigger question for me there, Bod. And if you're a journalist and you get paid to ask questions. Nuno's press conferences where he's, let's be frank, evasive and generic.
Yeah, he's not. I know.
Simple question.
He's not a fan of him, but that's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. But why I've never heard that asked. I've watched a few. Why don't you play first half? Why are you incapable of actually taking the game by the scruff of the neck? You never hear those questions. You hear generic platitudes, and it's almost as if if you ask about the first half, second half split, they hint at it in commentary. It's a bit of a mystery, but no, it's almost as if it's like if you ask Nuno that, he's going to walk out. There's something not right there.
I'd actually genuinely like it from not trying to get one over on them or anything like that. Just a simple. I'd like to understand from an expert in Wolves who is a footballer their thinking behind not wanting to, essentially looking like you don't want possession at all, to sit back and not attack in a first half. I'm assuming to contain the game so that you can then expend more energy in the second half. I mean, even if we go back again, let's go back again to the Man City one, and the mentality behind giving a side who wants the ball and loves possession, as much possession as possible. It's like, what? I can't. What? We've lost. I understand we had the key way of playing where we've got 3 at the back and we play a counter-attacking game. We had our width came from our wing-backs and we had this counter-attacking game. But we seem to have gone, right, well, we want more. We've come to this season, we want more possession. Okay. We don't have more possession. We've stopped using the wing-backs. We now have 5 at the back, essentially, most of the time. And the wing-backs never seem to ever really get that far forwards. and we don't counter-attack with any sort of purpose or intent at all. It's just give it to one of these two players who are really good at dribbling the ball, and then hope that something happens. And that seems to be our entire tactic now. What happened? Where has all that gone? Well, even if we went back to basics of what we used to do and play three at the back and counter-attack, the counter-attack, it's night and day difference what the counter-attacks are. The counter-attacks were 2 or 3 passes. We were in the other person's half. Now it's like we'll get about halfway and then we'll just kind of stop, check back, make sure everything's going something. Everything. I don't know. We'll have a little look round, pass it sideways, knock it back, knock it sideways, and then we'll go forward again. By which time the other team's completely reset, and you're like, well, I can't understand where that. We did counter-attack with Neto, but in the game he ran the length of the pitch. But where were the other players? There's no one backing that up.
That cross, Drury wasn't. Yeah, I don't know why I just do not understand why. I don't want to blame the players because I suspect it's more a coaching thing. Make sure you got the shape.
Yeah. I can't see that being the players. I can't see how they enjoy it either, to be honest. And I think
that's one.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. To me, you've got to say you have a philosophy. If you're a good team, you trust your centre halves to do the job. You trust your right back, left back to do the job. If we lose the ball and your defensive midfield, you've got 5 players who will be there or thereabouts to stop a counter. We don't have that trust. I've thought this for over a season and a half. We don't have that trust. So we flip it and say to the attackers, it's your job before you go to make sure that we're defensively okay. And as a result, we invariably put ourselves under more pressure now.
Yes.
I've said numerous times on this, if I'm an opposition coach, and I'm astounded that Dean Smith couldn't spot how you break balls down. You just say, attack the ball.
Yeah.
If you don't try intricate passes, get down to their final third, check. They won't attack you, check, then go again. Because Wolves' philosophy is defence first. And literally against Wolves, the best form of attack.
Oh, absolutely. It's not even possession either. That's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't mind so much if we were defending and holding onto the ball, which is possibly why we can't play 90 minutes. Because as it's always said, if you're not in possession of the ball, you'll do more running. So if we don't hold on to the ball, then we'll be more tired. So I just don't. I genuinely would love one of the coaching staff to just, like Nuno's done those masterclass coaching videos with these online football things, and it explains the thinking behind it and all that, and when this play. I'd love to just have that explained to me. This is what you appear to be doing. This is what we're all seeing. Now, if you're seeing something else, fine, but this is what we're all seeing. Please talk us through what your plan is here, or what you think that just explain it to us, just so we can understand it. I mean, I'd have more time for it if I could understand what was trying to be achieved. Because at the moment, I could see it before. I could see keep it tight, attack with purpose, and then try and score off that. And that was and you could see there was a clear plan there. Now it seems really just.
I think the players
is the right word. I don't know. It's like they're not counter-attacking with any purpose, but they're also holding onto the ball and defending. But then when they do counter-attack, they're not then counter-attacking, and it's like, well, where's it gone? It doesn't
I think it's over-coaching. I think the players aren't able to, especially the attacking players, aren't able to express themselves enough. I think
that's the most obvious fact of the season.
Yeah, I think Jose is a good example. He's come in and he's demonstrably gone like from there down in performance levels. And I don't think
he was
very, very quiet again tonight.
Yeah.
Just not in the game at all.
I think it literally is having his attacking instincts coached out of him. And I think we come back to it all the time. Jota, Raul, Neto, they're footballers. They're absolute footballers. And they almost, they'll do. I mean, Raul's the best example of this. What he does defensively is unparalleled, absolutely unparalleled. But he also manages for a season, 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons to do it in attack as well. You think he's had a very quiet. Oh, he's scored! Wow. And I honestly think even though people are saying he's one of the best strikers in the Premier League, he's absolutely top notch. Because if you're a striker in Wolves, how much service are you going to get? How often is the ball going to be played to your feet? How many times are you going to have 4 or 5 players where you can find space? And this is why Silva was so good when he was leading the line. The people haven't sussed, and it really infuriates me. People going, "Oh, we need a better striker." No, we need better players, which will allow us to play with more players up front, and that's what's wrong with us. Jose's a good striker, you can see it, but you can literally see the confidence draining out of him here. And Nuno,
he was. I mean, that's something. I mean, I did notice a couple of times Traore and Neto, and this isn't from a break. This is just a normal play. They were way more forward than Silva was.
Jose
was, and it's like, and at times Neto was the striker.
Yeah,
he was the one up the top, and I'm like, and I also did think today Adama was playing way deeper than normal.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's him being told to do that. I think that's him being told to do that. Not. I don't believe that he would naturally just go and sit in that position. I think he's been told to play there, and he laid off. I mean, people complaining about him again. And as I say, he was laying the ball off a lot. He was doing a lot of that sort of play. He was winning a lot of the midfield battles as a midfielder. And he shouldn't be playing there.
No,
he shouldn't be doing that.
I mean, and it comes down to the same, Nietzsche's internal recurrence, where we have to repeat the same thing without any possibility of changing it. And it's got to, Moutinho again, I thought had a good game, but
no, I didn't.
No, I think he did. I think he did within the parameters of what the game was, because nobody else. I mean, he was near the 18-yard line a lot in attack, because nobody else was. There were times when Traore was looking to track back and Moutinho decided to press. And I was thinking, why is Traore not doing that press? Traore looked just confused as what he should do. And Moutinho went and pressed. And there's a couple of times where Villa, especially in the second half, around the 80-minute mark, where they just cleared it. And I thought, that's Moutinho's pressing, but he shouldn't be doing that. He really shouldn't be doing that. There's something not right about that team setup.
Well, I don't. The reason I wasn't a fan of Moutinho today, because I felt, as much as yes, he did do that pressing, and that side of his game is, okay, fair enough. But what I did notice a lot of is he's getting the ball, and if he's even remotely closed down, he won't play anything other than a pass away from him, so he isn't the one losing it. And that can mean playing another Wolves player putting him right in the shit.
Oh God, yeah.
And I don't like that. And I don't like that.
But you know why that is? Because he knows if he loses it, he has zero chance of winning it back fairly.
Yeah,
it looks bad on him as well. It sounds harsh, but it does.
I don't.
Probably not, but that's what it's starting to look like. I mean, he played some of the ones he played back to the defenders. It was just when they were being closed down and the ball hasn't even got there. And I'm like, you're the guy with the experience. You should know not to do that. That's what really annoys me. It's too
I
much.
kind of, yeah,
I'm
I
not
kind
even
of
going to
feel
call it safety first. I'm not, because
it's
I
not
don't
safety
even
though,
think it
is
was
it?
safety first. I know
No,
it wasn't. It was just he doesn't want the responsibility of it at that time.
And it kind of comes
At
down
that
to
point,
it comes down to me too, and it's like Nevers. Nevers, I think we get a lot of criticism for certain ways he plays. There is one thing I want to bring up about the ball, but I must. In fact, I'm going to drop it in now. I would love to know: do they actually train with the same ball they play with? Because the passing was so off. I'd love to go to the Sir Jack Hayward training facility sponsored by Fosun and get all the balls and go, well, that's not a Premier League ball. That's not a Premier League, and just knife them all and just go, no, just use the bloody balls that you bloody play with. Because I can't believe they train with them. I cannot believe they train with the same balls that they play in a match. It's beyond me that they can.
But yeah, ask Origat to probably go to the Football Association Premier League Limited to kind of ask that question.
It's very simple. What ball are we playing with this season? It's this one.
It's
what about all the
one,
balls we bought last season? They're useless now. Give them to your local clubs. Fosun, buy 1,000 of the effing balls that you're going to play the game with. Anyway, it's like going back to the Neves Moutinho thing. I still think they're both good players. I still think they've both got a role to play. But I do not think in any way they complement each other, other than when we're under a heavy press, a heavy attacking team, and we need to kind of have cool heads. I thought, I just think we need both of those players benefit from legs next to them, and they never seem to get them, other than in the 89th, 88th minute, you bring on a frightened rabbit against the best team in the world, and expecting to be up to speed. Yeah. Talk about setting somebody up to fail. I mean, it's like me I take a junior consultant into a high pressure situation and say, right, I just want you to design the system with no experience. I mean, crying out loud. I thought that was a go.
Was Otasowie injured or something today, or was he just simply dropped?
He was probably depressed after the way he was hung out to dry.
I think he's simply been dropped. That'd be my presumption. I don't know if has he been playing with the under-23s recently. I don't think he has. I know we lost the lead. I know they lost the lead.
After that mistake, I would have
I would have started him.
I wouldn't even start. I might have kept him on the bench, and then the following game. Then, if you wanted to drop him, you drop him.
Of course, what happened on Tuesday was extremely bad. He obviously, as was mentioned on Tuesday, at least he had a go. At least he had a go, and obviously didn't.
With young players, you never knock them.
Exactly.
A young player.
The thing is, you've got other players who've played in that game who are fucking awful, and they've kept their place. And so that's like. It's a bit harsh, that.
I think it's harsh. I thought, like Johnny today, somebody made a comment on the mix, which I thought I'd bring up. Johnny seems to be sinking down to the level of the team now.
What I did like about Johnny, because he seemed to get better towards the end. But the thing is, what I liked about him, apart from when he took an absolute age and the game was about to end, to take a throw, was he was sprinting up that pitch to try and get a winner. And some of the other players were just like, oh, it's another game. Oh, it's a clean sheet, isn't it? Yeah. It's like the desire to win that game did not seem to be there. They didn't want to lose it. I'm not saying they want to lose and they don't care, but that absolute burning desire to go and get that win, no, I don't think it was there. I really don't.
There's something which you kind of, like I said, and when we were going through the really bad patch, my point is, if you're Jeff Shee, you just watch training, and you don't watch like the videos of training, which we all know are PR things, and we enjoy them. They're great, keep them coming. But you're around there. You're kind of in the mix, so to speak. You're kind of getting a feel for the dynamic of the team and the culture of the team, and what we had certainly before the fans left was we had a phenomenal feeling that we're all together. Maybe it's just that we're not there. We've talked about this before, but whatever it is, and it all stems from what that real dynamic is. It doesn't matter what we think. It's the reality of that dynamic that matters. And if the dynamic is, no, just needs a couple of months off, Moutinho just, it's the end of his career and we're just playing him out. Otasowie is going to be an absolute star, but he's got that 6 months development, and that mistake was part of his crucial learning.
All that kind of thing. Tough loving and that sort of thing.
Yeah. If that's the case, then I'm really positive about the future. Really positive, because I can see lots of positives. But the flip side is, if that dynamic isn't right within the team, I'm very negative. And the only people who know are those who are there. And at the end of the day, it literally is, as we said in the last game, let's just get the season over and see where we are and let things shake out. But you just want to, as soon as we're safe, I just want to see 90 minutes of football. I watched the under 23 game as much as I could, and I thought, at least they're playing for the 90 minutes. It's not great at times, but it doesn't feel like you're being shortchanged. And it's getting to the point from a brand perspective. Do I want to touch Wolves? I don't think, if I'm thinking, do I want my brand to be around Wolves? Well, the Wolves that stormed the Premier League, stormed into the Premier League from the Championship, The Wolves in the first season of the Premier League, The Wolves in Europe, kind of, it's a bit of a ride, but it tailed down. No, I'm not interested. I'm not touching them.
I mean, we got invited. A couple of us got invited. When he first went up, I can't remember. Anyway, Jeff Shee asked to speak to some of us off the forum. I got a message and I got asked to bring some people in, and we all went in. We had a chat, and we said, and it was mentioned. I think I mentioned at that time about the brand thing, that if you want that brand thing, unfortunately, as much as I dislike football fashionista types, you need those sort of people talking about you.
Yep.
If you want to be that brand, we're not going to be up the top of the Man United and all that, because they've had years of lots of marketing, lots of fans around the world. We've got to be a niche, talked about. What's the right word? Sort of cult, really, a cult team that's got a bit of, I don't know, we want to a bit like some of the German teams have, which I've never quite understood, but everyone goes, they're great, and you're like, But I'm not that kind of football player. I like my team, that's my team, that's what I watch, that's all I'm interested in. I'm not bothered about other teams. But alternatively, if you want to be that your brand to be around the world and stuff like that, initially we have to be that cult team, which means we have to be entertaining. We are getting a badge now for being boring.
Yep,
absolutely.
Utterly boring. I mean, I people I work with who are fans of other clubs. God, you were bloody shit, though. I'm like, well, and you can't, and it's very hard to defend. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other people I noticed posting on the forums earlier, and they've got friends texting them and stuff like that, saying, "Oh God, you're so boring." If you don't want that badge,
no.
I mean, and the thing is, if we just went and just got, if you want to play it safe and go back to what we were doing in the first season with the three at the back and then the counter attacking and all that, fine. But get back to that. Not what we're doing, this kind of convoluted thing that we're doing at the moment, where we're neither possession-based or counter-attack or anything, really.
There's no identity.
No.
It literally is, somebody as well said, it summed it up, bore the opposition into mistakes.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example. It's a bit of a Richard story against it, but I'm going to give it you. I once played snooker with a lady from work in Blackpool. She was much better than me. I mean, much better. She was something like 130 up, coming up to the last few balls. And all I did was just snooker. And she said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "It's the only way I can remotely win. And she said, but we've got to go in 20 minutes. I said, so I've got 20 minutes to just try and snooker you. She said, and he went on after 10 minutes, said, look, let's just call it a draw. I'm so bored with this. And she was getting out of it 9 times out of 10. And I just said, okay, yeah, I'll take the draw. And she looked at me and thought, you're an utter, and you can put whatever expletive you want in, but you can imagine what it was, being a male. And I said, yeah, but that's the only way I had a chance of competing. She looked at me and it was like, why are you doing that? You know, it's meant to be a game, you know, and I thought, yeah, it's a game. My philosophy is I have to win however I can. And it feels like Wolves are in that kind of, I don't know how I can win other than playing like this. And I don't buy that. I mean, other than if you'd look at our first...
That's the thing. I don't even think we're doing that, though. I don't even think we're just going... Because we're not going out to win. Where I could see it if we were back to the old counter-attack with purpose. Okay, It wouldn't work in every game. And I know it doesn't
but
work.
when it did work, linked in with the one-touch football, particularly in the first season...
Yeah.
Or say Spurs away or Southampton away last year.
Yeah.
It works beautifully. Just remember Cardiff City at home in just over 2 years ago. Those 2 goals that we did, which were partly because of that neat football linked in.
But we switched off again, though, didn't we? We didn't push. We didn't
glorious.
push it. We never in the Premier League have tried to put teams to the sword. And then when it happened in the Championship, it was more by accident than design. You kind of feel that. It's all about, okay, we've won this one, move on. And I don't know, I mean, I just feel like if I was a player, you'd like to really hear the honest opinion of a player. Like, why do you go out and you cannot pass a ball 5 meters when you're not under pressure? Like, why have we got a goalkeeper who, as soon as he's under pressure, there's a classic one where I think it was in the second half, and he had a player there and a player there, and the ball went right out to play. And you thought, you know, one, I can't kick the ball that far, so hands up. But if I could, I'm pretty certain that literally I could only do as bad. Either way, it can't be as bad as that. And there was a case where I think it was Johnny or Drury, somebody looked up on the left, player down, he looked up, he saw the player, and he played the ball 10 meters in front of him. And you thought, how can you get that wrong? You know, you've looked up, you've seen the player, and you've put it so far in front of them. There's literally no point in running. A couple of times, Semedo ran across and picked up the ball when he shouldn't have got it. A couple of times when he just couldn't make it. And you think, it just... are you playing on is Villa Park a different size to what you train on? Is the ball different, as I've said? I just don't get it. You're professional footballers, but there's something, it's not your capability, because we know you. I mean, if you've ever played, I've played five-a-side with somebody who played 1 game for West Ham, played for Bournemouth, played for Richmond and Diamonds.
Oh, wow. Who was that?
A guy called Mark Scarvey. You won't know him, but he was, if you've got a shoot annual from about 1980, he's actually one to watch in there. And we played this game. There were 5 of us in our company, and me being the middle guy, a really fat guy, a couple of other guys who could hardly walk, one really good footballer, and Mark. And we're kind of struggling against this other team who are much better than us. And Mark would look up and go, and I'm not joking, anywhere on a 5-a-side pitch, bang, bang, bang. So if we're 3 down, bang, 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 3-0, 3-all. We go 4-0, 4-7 down, bang, 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 7-all. We go 13-7 down, bang, 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 13-all. Anywhere on the pitch, he could shoot and score. It doesn't matter when you could literally see him going, we need to get back in the game. And that's the difference between a professional footballer and the other guy we had played county level. He was pretty good. His knees had gone, but he was still very good. And when you see the ability of a professional footballer, they are literally a different level to you. They're literally beyond you. So there's no question. There's no question about their ability. It's about, as you've said, concentration. So So what's going wrong? Why are they walking on the pitch and their head is not straight in the game? That's the question.
What a good question. What a good.
I don't know.
Man of the match.
I was going to say we better get on to man of the match, really.
Well, if there's man of the match on the pitch, would probably be Emi Martinez to say, because he's a very good keeper.
No, he doesn't play for us anymore.
I know. We can obviously say that we helped start his career. Helped launch it. For us, I wonder to.
It's one of those. Whoever you pick, somebody could come up with a really good reason why they shouldn't get it.
Yeah. Well, no one is jumping out at the minute.
I'm going with Semedo. For a general all-round performance.
I'm going to go very controversial, and I'm going to get knocked for this, but I do think the reason I'm giving this is this player. No, this player has done more in the final third than any other player tonight, and most games I absolutely think he's one of those players who I do think we need somebody next to him who's a lot faster, or we need to complement him. But I'm going to go for Cody because twice he almost won the game for us, and he, as a central defender who's technically a sweeper, that says more about the game than I think anything else can.
I think you've probably given me a good reason as well to agree, actually. Again, it's another clean sheet. It is, another clean sheet is a massive positive. Of course, the ball across to the ball across to Saiz was brilliant. Obviously, if only Romain stuck it in the back of the net. That could be in for another day. And then obviously the way in which he got onto the ball again, maybe he hooked it a bit more. Could have gone through Martinez's his hand, but ultimately he had a go. And at least, well, I suppose one positive in the last these last couple of games, Connor Cody going forward. It's exactly what you have been calling for, Bod. I'm sure most other Wolves fans have get Connor up, because if you give him,
to be fair, I do call for everybody to go forward, because I'm the sort of person who likes ridiculously attacking football. Defending, that's just not for me.
The 1890s were great, weren't they? 2-9-1, that was the formation.
It's interesting you both go for. Well, it's interesting you both go for Cody, is because I actually thought Saiz was the best centre half from a defending point of view.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would not knock Saiz. I just think sometimes, believe me, I do think Cody is an issue in the team because he doesn't have the right players around him.
Which is why we need to get new centre backs in the summer.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Today, I still say that we could have. I think we could have pushed Dendoncker into midfield today. It wouldn't have made any difference to our team at all in terms of defending. I don't think we'd have lost anything. I really don't. In fact, it might have gained, because he could have done his job as a defensive midfielder in front of him.
And I feel that would have meant a central midfielder could have been more compact with the two. I think with the three, you end up a bit more strung out. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't particularly, without Bolly, I don't think the three works. In fairness to Kilman, he's a good defender. I really rate Kilman. I think Saiz, I can't argue with Saiz being almost there. I'd give him a very honourable mention. And on his miss, he's stretching out. He's not expecting it.
I wasn't. Yeah.
If he's a metre forward, he walks it in.
Yeah,
no, the fact
that he actually got something on it in the split second that he has a chance of it coming across.
I don't.
At least he's there to try and finish it.
Yeah, I don't knock him. So. I don't knock him for that at all.
But we've got two for Cody and one for Semedo then. So interesting. I know. I imagine a lot would be calling for Neto, but
no. For me though, it's a game where it's an easy call because he runs up. He's very good at running. He did a couple of good crosses, but in all fairness to Neto, there are elements of his game which are creeping in now, and I've said this the day one he arrived. He's going to get to the point where his head expands a bit too much for this team. And I think he's reaching that point where he's beginning to read the press, he's beginning to listen to commentary, and his head is expanding a bit too much. And he needs to kind of focus in on, there's the goal, there's my sense. And he doesn't need to be doing the and the silly fouls, which he's done in a few games. So for me, the things that Neto needs to cut out of his game, he's now bringing them in, and he's bringing them in because he knows he's that good. And that was always my concern with Neto, that he's going to reach that point, because you could see it from the first game he played. He had all those attributes, but he's now beginning to show the negative side of his game, which is, I'm too good for this team. I'm gonna just do the niggly foul. If you want to be a true great, cut that out. Keep focused on your day job.
If you want to show everyone how good you are, you put the ball in the net.
Exactly. As he almost did with the that was also another positive in terms of there was actually someone outside of the box ready to take the ball forward and kind of spin like that. Obviously, the angle and the way in which the defender held him off until we got round him was a bit of a hindrance. But still, Pedro ran, I think, 80 yards to then launch a pretty good shot. Launch a shot, which if it wasn't for Martinez, probably could have gone in. Yeah. So it was a very, at least he had that eye, and he again showed that quality feel out of the. I think he was heavily breathing for a few minutes afterwards. Pedro, considering considering it took.
Well, I mean, you have to realize, it's like with Adama. If you want to know what it's like to do heavy sprints, go and measure out a 50-meter or 60-meter, 30-meter distance. And what you do is you sprint to the 60-meter and you jog quickly back, and then you sprint the 30-meter, then you jog back, then you do the 60-meter. You try that for 5 and 5. You are dead.
I used to do sprinting.
Yeah, I used to do that, and it's a killer. It's an absolute killer.
Sprint is just an explosion of energy. Yeah. That's a sprint.
Yeah, and Adama, you can tell that once he's gone from one of those, and Neto's probably the same. There's not a lot left in the tank for a couple of minutes until they recover.
On top of that, you've also got to add, when they are sprinting, they're not just sprinting; they're also holding off somebody else, and that extra that is. I mean, just playing five-a-side and bits of football like that. When I sprint and I'm trying to hold somebody off. My God, that tires you out more than just the sprinting. You don't even have to be sprinting at full or running at full pace.
Plus, you've got the ball. Got the ball. And the player without the ball. Yeah. I agree with you, Cass. I think you made a good point there about the fact he does do that. But in effect, and this is where Jose, I'm coming back to Jose again. He has to realise, unfortunately for him, he's in a Wolves team. He's a central striker in a Wolves team. It's a thankless task. You've got to make the runs and just hope the ball does arrive there.
Yeah, because it was Neto, it was Pedro all by himself. I think, that was a perfect opportunity there for Willian to just go for it. If I was the striker and I realised Pedro had gone, I've already been like, well, bugger this, hang on. We could do something if I'm quick enough, and if Pedro is able to see me. So it's
one other thing I'd say, and I think
I was going to say just before we move on to just on
other bits and bobs,
his job in a Wolves side as the attacker is a decoy a lot of the time.
Yeah,
you make those runs. You're never going to get the ball. You're there to pull defenders out of the way.
Yeah.
That is part of his job.
Yeah, indeed.
It's not all glory.
That's one thing to consider.
I'm glad he tried a shot, and I think it was on which bounced eventually to Saiz, I think.
It was,
Cody.
and then it bounced to
Cody.
the keeper, and then came to Cody, and then obviously Sai sticking it over.
But the other one is, I think, Silva looking better, and I think Silva it was a fairly quiet game, but again he showed a bit of desire. I think he's developing exactly how I would have seen him developing, and I think you've got to give Jose a bit of credit for that. I mean, it's a bit of a thankless task. He's just got to get his head in that place of I'm really there to work at Wolves. I'm not a glory striker, get the shot, turn on get the half turn, take a shot. No, I'm there to work at Wolves, and if he can get that, I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. The thing that disappoints me, as I've said before, I just think his head's dropping a bit, and he needs to keep that up and realise, you're really there to push on here. And I think, and the other one I'd like to just mention, I think Silva, you can see he's going to get the chance, and that chance comes because he's coming on when players are tired, much more suited to him, and half of that credit goes to the rest of the team, especially when we're playing second half. Imagine what we'd do, how good it'd be if he came on and we played for 70 minutes instead of.
Indeed. So
there are positives there in the side. It's just a matter of, just sacrifice that chicken, get them playing for 90 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, in some other bits of news as well, just to note that according to the gossip, the Daily Mail this morning, or to a couple of bits and bobs. Well, according to the Daily Mail this morning, that we were listening to offers for Dharma, lower than 70 million we were demanding and hoping for last season. Also, we are in the
honest, I think that's just the papers trying to sell our players again.
Yeah, indeed. Also, there was supposedly as well linked with Edmund Tapsoba, 22-year-old centre-back from Burkina Faso who's at Bayer Leverkusen. Supposedly it's us against Manchester United. I don't know in terms of how Bayer are going to look next season, because then obviously whatever his name is heading to Bayern Munich from there. So not really sure how realistic that one is. Obviously, the other big one, which has been getting a lot of chatter, is this week, and supposedly we put an offer in, is talks in with Mr. Gennaro, Gattuso Gennaro, the former footballer who's obviously turned manager, to potentially replace Nuno if
no, that sounds like a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea.
I don't know anything about that guy. I mean, so I can't.
From what I read, anyway, I could be wrong. I don't know. Just from what I read, I was like, oh my god, the guy sounds like a nut, an absolute nutball. And I'm like, why would you want that?
Well, it's like the Adama thing. If somebody offered you, if he's not going to sign a contract, and somebody offers you 50 million, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, Gennaro Gattuso.
If he's not going to sign the contract.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all about that dynamic within the team, and and players, they're human beings. You've got their career short. You've got to nurture that talent, and that all comes down to where their head is in the team. So we can't really make a judgment on that. I personally think Rory's got at 20, coming on 25, he's got some great years ahead of him. I'd love them to be at Wolves, really would.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Well, another bit of news. Sorry, we've lost a member of Bologna Mix, so R.I.P. Cookie, Steve Cook, who apparently passed away just recently. It's just been on the forum. So that's sad. But
indeed, it is.
We used to post on the forum a lot, so it's a shame.
Indeed, yes, and obviously as a fellow Fans Parliament member, obviously I think the service he gave to the club and his love for the club was beyond evidence. So much love to Steve's family.
Yeah. Anyway, the next game is when, Cash? Because you're the man with the stats normally.
So the next game, let me double check my fixtures. I'll just double check the date.
You've just removed the portal.
Yeah. You need to carry on talking.
It is It is a week Monday. It is the virtual ticket fixture, actually, by the way, for the Feed Our Pack campaign. You can get those virtual tickets for £20. All money goes to the Wolverhampton Wanderers Foundation on that campaign. But it is against, a free-falling Liverpool, who are in seventh place.
Oh, God, we've got to win that. I hate Liverpool.
We've got to beat the Scousers.
Well, actually, no, that's wrong. I don't hate Liverpool. I like the town. I just don't like Liverpool fans. It's just annoying, and I think that comes down to my age. I think that's just because when I was a kid, all the plastic fans were Liverpool fans, and that's probably what it comes down to. But anyway, I hate Liverpool. Can't we just need to just give them a good idea? Because all the games we've played so far, and I mean, especially last season, I thought we gave them far too much respect, and I thought we could have hammered them. But we just seemed to, for some reason, were too frightened to. And it annoyed me.
Well, of course, it didn't happen the first game, that Petro.
No, they were and the other thing was the bloody... I'm not going to say the words. But the Wolves fans were going, but they're the greatest team Europe... They're the greatest team the world's ever seen. We shouldn't be thinking we can beat these.
That is a load of... that is a load... Yeah, that is a load of BOOOOCKS. Enough said.
People were bloody the silly loving with them. Oh, it was just annoying.
Well, their honeymoon in their bubble is completely burst. They're at this rate, Liverpool might not even reach Europe next season with the way they've just absolutely capitulated.
Can I just make one point? Point?
I know you like Liverpool, don't you?
I quite like Liverpool.
As a city, yes. Great.
No, I quite like them as a club. I don't know many plastic fans because the Liverpool fans I knew when I was growing up were actually from Liverpool. So, but one thing I will say, and I will say it now, and I will say it loud, and I will make a prediction. If we play defensively like we did in the first half, and then we try and attack them, they will kill us on the break. We've almost got to reverse it, to be brutally honest. And if we don't step up to that game and kind of make them think they're in the game, if we sit back and let them go into the game and give them the confidence, they will win. So,
I want us to absolutely smash them, to give that graceless arsehole of a manager at Liverpool another reason to make some awful excuse or abuse someone on camera or something like that. The awful person that he is, the fake smile and the fake niceness.
He's got great teeth, though. I mean, he's a dentist dream.
Nasty piece of work.
Dentist dream.
I don't know if you saw my Klopp impression before with the train ticket, but I haven't got a train ticket to be able to do it. Yeah, basically you get a train ticket and you just stick it in your mouth. And right, but
I think I've seen a meme or something like that before.
I just want. I do like Liverpool. I've nothing against them as a club, other than occasionally they kind of let the side down. And I think Nottingham Forest fans will swear that we won 2 European Cups and then we're banned. Thank you, Liverpool. But I do think that if we approach this game with coming out like zombies in the first half, well, don't bother turning up. If we play how we can play, we've got a chance, especially how Liverpool are now. But I do fear the worst.
I mean, the past couple of seasons, Traore against Alexander-Arnold, if Alexander-Arnold's playing.
He's off form.
I just didn't think. I was like all this, in this game. I was watching the game, and I'm thinking, there's been all this talk about Alexander-Arnold being one of the greatest fullbacks in the world. And he was bloody awful, absolutely awful.
They're not used to being attacked.
Attacking wise, brilliant.
Yeah.
Defending, he was atrocious.
They've got no defenders
against Liverpool. Just drop the ball in behind the fullbacks and run into that space. They were playing such a high line. But
It's going to be a very interesting one next Monday because obviously we've come out of a bad patch. Obviously, another 0-0 draw. Liverpool are in free fall at the minute. Their title defence is over. The party and I think the romanticness of Klopp has.
I really want them
gone.
to fall. I really want them to finish outside of something like 8th place, and I want to just so I can hear the multitude of excuses of why it's not Klopp's fault.
Which would therefore make it one of the worst title defences in living memory. And so it'd be an absolute disaster if that occurred, and can't imagine how Merseyside would feel.
Especially if Everton were in Champions League and they were.
Yes, don't be surprised if Everton nick a Champions League place, particularly with I think it's currently Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Leicester City 0. So Leicester were beginning to crack. So it could potentially, I think maybe I could make a prediction here that Everton will get into Europe and potentially top 4, and Liverpool won't. And obviously, it won't help if Liverpool don't win games like this. They're going to be wanting all the points they could get to keep in touch with the top 4, considering the way it's just gone in the last several weeks, where they've obviously lost how many ever games at home. I will prediction wise. Well, I say we play better against the big sides. Liverpool, the only Liverpool out the top 6. Liverpool, the only side we haven't beaten. Since getting promoted back to the Premier League, we've lost each of those games. Each of them except the 4-0 have been fairly tight. Prediction-wise, it is tough to call, considering we're better now, but not as best as we can be. Liverpool can still play pretty well, but have obviously completely lost their mojo. I will go with a scrappy 1-0 win. I don't know who will score. Maybe Fabio will come up with something and just stick it in and then cause chaos afterwards. But a 1-0 win, it will cause Klopp to spontaneously combust probably and send Merseyside into meltdown and put us free. Yeah, give us another 3 points against a bigger side. It's just such tough to call. But I think a win. We'll sneak something and it will cause a few reverberations.
Rich, what do you think?
Well, this is why I hate predicting, because if I'm going to be logical, we're going to lose 2-0, 3-1. So I'm going to go with the standard fan kind of commentary heart rather than head. And I'm going to say we're going to win 3-0.
Just like Watford.
Well, I think we're going to lose horrendously because I have this horrible feeling that whichever voice came up with the amazing tactic against Man City's first half of try and avoid having the ball will unfortunately gain credence again and go, look how well we did in the first half against Man City.
And I will kick us out the backside.
And by half time, it will be all over and we won't be able to catch them. However, if we don't do that, I think we're all right. We could do okay. But I just fear that we're going to basically. I think we're going to see if we can actually manage to have less of the ball than in the first half against Man City.
So do you like this strategy? I guess you're not a fan of this idea of football not having the ball. So in the game of football, you're not a fan of.
Funnily enough, I actually think having the ball is a bit of a bonus in terms of football.
See, I'm kind of in the middle. I think you get the ball and you either do something with it and lose it, having tried a shot or something, and then win it back. But what you don't do is you have the ball, keep on passing it back until Rui goes, "Oh, I've got to kick it." And then he kicks it out. And then the other team
line up your entire team in a line in front of the. As I said the other week, you may as well just get them practicing circus acrobatics, and there's then form a lovely pattern in the goal
without your arms.
Just put your arms behind it, and then just create a wall of players to completely clear. Because if you're going to play 9 players in a line in front of Rui, so that if you do win the ball, you head it out and go straight back to the opposition. You may as well, as I say, just put your arms up like that, and then all just stand in the goal, because it's just about as effective. That's also my hot take.
What if you put a score on the table, Bod? What would you go for?
If we do the anti-football game, it would be 4 or 5 by half time. If we play our counter-attack game, where we knock the ball around, press in our half, attack, do the sort of counter-attack with purpose, I actually think we could win it 2-0 or something like that.
Oh.
But it really is Jekyll and Hyde. It's one or the other. There's going to be no middle ground. It'll be.
Yeah, I think that's. I think if we try and be too, for this unbelievably repetitive, only playing for one half thing, I just can't. We might go 0-0, but you kind of know that Liverpool will come out and go, well, they're going to come out in the second half, there'll be gaps. We just can't do that.
Not only that, they go, 0-0 against Liverpool. Tell you what, we'll take that point and then try and sit on that.
Yeah, we'll either be 4-0 at half time or 4-0 by full time if we do that.
Yeah, yeah. But
on that,
I live in hope that that's not going to be the case. But
read some Nietzsche.
Indeed, we can hope and we can pray and and see what happens. But at least I'm sure, diplomatic draw tonight, and I'm sure Villa fans will also be very pleased that Birmingham City lost again today against Barnsley, who, by the way, are flying. 8 wins on the bounce in the Championship. They're in 6th. Barnsley are in 6th place with a game in hand. That's against Barnsley in the Premier League next season, anybody? Wow.
But, if you get out of the Championship, you deserve it, don't you?
Absolutely. 8 wins on the bounce. Fair play to the. Yeah. So Oakwell, that very old standard Oakwell, having fancied seeing us trot it there.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'd love that.
Cool.
I so enjoyed that away trip, apart from the game.
Great old style stadium. Norwich will probably Norwich look like they're 10 points clear and can probably begin party preparations, quite frankly.
All right, let's leave it there then, and we'll come back after the Liverpool amazing win that we're about to do.
That would be nice.
Apologies to Max, who did try and join us, but it seems his sound didn't work. Or my sound didn't work. I don't know. It's technology. Sorry.
Tech's a pain. What can we do?
Try again after the next game. We again. Anyone who wants to come and join us, you're very welcome. And we'll see you on Monday night after Liverpool.
See you on the 15th. Stay safe.
Thank you very much. See you all.